The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He missed the completely. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome to Pocono Raceway for round 5 of the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Grand National Series live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Behind the scenes directing is Joe Peak and our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. Tanner, we're just 4 races into the season, but with only 8 races left until the 4-race Pursuit of the Pedals Chase for the Championship at the end of the year, all of these drivers are going to want to be on their top form at Pocono if they want their shot at breaking into the top 10 in points.
Yes, sir, Sam, but let's talk about the racetrack Pocono first. This is a very interesting racetrack. There's no turn 4 here. It's a triangle track in my opinion, as you can see the layout of the racetrack. Turn 1, 14 degrees of banking, which is known as Trenton Speedway. Turn number 2 is known as the tunnel turn. Indianapolis, which is Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 9 degrees. And turn 3 is 6 degrees, which is the Milwaukee Mile, the more flattish part of the racetrack. 50 laps of racing tonight, 60% of fuel, which is about 1 or 2 pit stops, depending upon if we have green flag racing or not, or caution flags. We'll just have to see how this race mixes it up. But 60% fuel load. As you talk about the top 10 guys in points there, Sam, I'm looking at a couple of guys, and one guy that I have my eyeball on tonight is Brian Yazik.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian just sitting outside the top 10 in points, sitting 14th there. We'll have a look at the championship leaders here. There you see Bryce Whitson has just 1 point over Brody Hayes, who has won the last 2 races of the season. Michael Krobach has also picked off a W. He sits there 3rd in the points, 7 markers back. Gary Whitson and Alan Young round out the top 5 in the points. Rounding out the top 10, 10 drivers will advance to the chase, although granted we're still in the early stages here, are Eric Baril, Austin Missler, Robert Barney, Jonathan Holstein and Will Worsler. And now qualifying has begun. These drivers have a 5-minute qualifying session in which they can attempt to put on 2 laps. And if they are able to run those laps cleanly, they should find themselves at the front of the grid. We should have a 40-car grid. 20 drivers get in by being in the top 20 in points, and then the other 20 advance through a pre-qualifying session. Now, one of the big names that you're not going to see here tonight is Jordan Harnish. Unfortunately, Jordan Harnish's cousin was involved in a car incident earlier today, so he is with her at the hospital. She is in ICU. We wish her the best, and all of the drivers in this series here and all of us here at GSRC are thinking her and sending our thoughts her way. And we really hope that we'll see Jordan Harnish back on the grid soon and that his cousin will be able to ultimately be okay. But we got 3.5 minutes left of qualifying here. What is the timing and scoring looking like right now, Tanner?
Sorry there, Sam had some technical difficulties. I missed your question. I deeply apologize about that. But as of right now, with on the racetrack is concerned, as I'm seeing guys go around the racetrack with Gary Whitson, he's entering the Milwaukee Mile part of the racetrack as of right now. I expect him to be a top 10 qualifier. But another driver tonight I do want to keep my eye on is Bryce Whitson. He wasn't very fast in the practice session. He was outside the top 10. But even though he's a point leader, he's finishing the top 10 in each race this season. there could be a chance that he could not finish outside the top, or finish outside the top 10. There could be a chance that could happen. But knowing Bryce and what he did at Phoenix earlier in the season, I'm not really worried about. He's definitely going to be a championship contender.
Yeah, things looking good. You say he's got 4 top 10s. Oh, obviously he gets in the wall a bit there. He's gotten 4 top 10s this season in the 4 races. He is the only driver that can say that. However, he does not have the most top 5s. Michael Krobach in the number 7 machine has 3 top 5s this season, and I believe he is the only driver that can say that. We see Robert Barney crossing the line there and jumping up to 6th on the timing sheets. Robert had a good race at Richmond International Raceway last week, and Michael Krobach sitting a bit further down the order than what I think he's gonna want, but I believe that's what happened to him at Richmond last week there, Danny. He doesn't seem to be the best qualifier, but he can certainly get the job done on race day.
Yeah, definitely. He's like me. I don't qualify very good, but I can definitely know how to race and get into the top 10. So, and Michael Krobach's the same way. Right now, he's listed as 10th on the leaderboards as far as qualifying is concerned. So, if he can stay in distance within the top 10, he doesn't have to. Well, he could qualify in the top 10, which is really good because track position is key around this place. But if he qualifies around 11th, 12th, or 13th, I think he'll be a top 10 contender to finish up there. Right now, he's back down to 11th this time by. But yeah, as long as he doesn't get close to that 20 position mark, then he'll have some work to do.
Yeah, qualifying could be quite important here today, considering it's only 50 laps long. There's not going to be a lot of laps out there for you to get your car up to the front of the field. Now, here's the driver who's currently qualified towards the front of the field, Brian Jazik. You gave him a shout-out already in this broadcast, Tanner, and rightfully so. He is usually a driver that, when he gets up front, is always a threat for the victory. Now, feel free to talk to us during the race on YouTube or on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel, and we will try our best to get your questions answered on air, giving our social media outlets a bit of a shout out there, because in 15 seconds this qualifying session will be over and we will know what our grid is going to look like, and right now it looks like the pole sitter is going to be Josh Jones.
Yeah, Josh Jones, he's outside the top 10 in points, and with 8 races to go, you want to try to get that big old W. So right now he was 3rd in practice, qualifies on the pole. He's got a chance to get it done today.
Alright, so the winner of your True Power Pole Award, there you see him there on the top of your screen, is Josh Jones, out-qualifying Brody Hayes, who has just came off back-to-back victories. Jeffrey Belt will line up 3rd there, and Nick Cohan, this is the local track for him. You can see he's from Pennsylvania. He will be starting in 4th position. Rounding out row 3 are Danny Rogers and Josh Tanner.
Rounding out 7th position is War Whistler. 8th place is my pick to win this race is Brian Jazik. 9th place, Robert Barney and Troy Haight, once again, will round up the top 10. Jack Strosky will qualify in 11th. Michael Krobach, we just talked about him earlier, will qualify in the 12th position, and Bryce Whitson will qualify in the 13th position.
Yeah, lined up alongside him there is his cousin Gary Whitson, and then Jamie Moore and Austin Missler are on the 8th row of the grid. Now we're into the middle of the field with Jonathan Holstein lined up alongside Tim Knott. Those drivers will be starting from 17th and 18th positions. Behind them is Jeffrey Gilliam and Alan Young rounding out the front half of the field, followed by Ted Eminheiser and Lee Staples. Ken Rodriguez and Jackie Palmer round out row 12.
And running out into row number 13 here, you have Aaron Norman, Danny Vining in the 29th position, Aaron Kleinhans in the 31st position, Chris Ginn in the 33rd position. Ty Hester did not post on a qualifying lap. He's out back in the 34th position, so he's going to have some work to do tonight. Michael Koenig in the 35th position, Alex Bates in the 36th position, Louis Robinette in the 37th position, Todd Kirkwood in the 38th position. And I believe that rounds out the rest of the field there, Sam.
Yeah, so not a full field tonight. I know Pocono Raceway isn't exactly the most popular of ovals, at least from a driver's standpoint. From a broadcaster standpoint, it always puts on unique shows, especially because there is such a run into the first corner here. Restarts and starts are usually wild, and we will get to see one in less than a minute's time because the pace car is already halfway around the one and only pace lap these drivers will have before the green flag, and they will be racing for 50 laps around this 2.5 mile tricky triangle. Ford Mustang pace car leading them around. Josh Jones will have control of the field very shortly.
Yes, he will, and another driver to keep an eye on. He's won twice this season, and that's Brody Hayes, qualified in the second position, but he was top 10 in practice, so we know he has a fast car every single week. So keep an eye on Brody Hayes as this race progresses.
Here comes the field down to the third and final turn. You see Josh Jones lined up alongside Brody Hayes. That is your front row of the grid. They're coming through the third turn now. And when the pace car pulls off here, it's always a bit funny on iRacing at Pocono. As soon as the pace car peels off, the green flag is flown. So these drivers are pretty much all going to be anticipating the start as soon as the Ford Mustang pace car makes the hard left turn. And there it does, and the green flag is out, and we are racing 50 laps here at Pocono Raceway.
Seen some bump drafting early at the start of the race, and kind of caught Brody Hayes sleeping there at the start of the race as they are 3 wide entering turn number 1. This is one of the toughest turns.
Yeah, but Josh Jones has it all to himself. Drivers in the rest of the top 5 trying to get single filed out, but there's multiple grooves that lead through that first turn, but they are definitely going to want to get single file before they get to the tunnel turn. Based off Indianapolis here, this turn 2 is the trickiest corner on the course.
It is the trickiest corner on the course, but another tricky corner is the Milwaukee Mile turn, which they will be coming up on the turn number 3 right now, which is considered as Milwaukee Mile. Very flat, one of the hardest places on the pass. Usually turn number 2, that's the Indianapolis corner. That's the money corner that you want to get the run on. So we'll have to see. Nice run off the high side there by Josh Jones as he's coming around to complete the first lap.
Nick Cohan there has moved up into third position after starting in fourth. Oh, there's trouble at the back of the field, and that is going to bring out our first caution of the race.
Yeah, I see it's the number 45. I am trying to make out who that is.
It's Daniel Glover. We're going to find out exactly what happened here. It's an easy turn spin off of, but let's see if there was contact involved. Replay coming through the exit of turn 3 right here. Yeah, he just got loose. Very easy to do.
Yes, it is there, Sam, as today we are driving on a 110-degree racetrack. So this track is pretty hot and slick out there today, so these guys are just going to have to mind their driving just a little bit. These coming off these corners can be very treacherous.
Well, a single car spin is going to slow the field down. Early on here, there will be no DSD lucky dog because all the drivers are still on the lead lap. And fortunately, barring any significant incidents, Tanner, this track is so large that we should have a lot of drivers on the lead lap by the end of this thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a 2.5 mile racetrack, so and it's not a restrictor plate racetrack like Daytona and Talladega is, but it is definitely a big enough track. It's nothing compared to Richmond or Homestead or Phoenix or any of the races that we've done before. So it's definitely a different racetrack and 3 unique corners. That's the biggest thing that makes this racetrack so unique.
Absolutely, and for those of you wondering, these drivers will be going to Kentucky Speedway next week, so that will definitely be a bit of a different adventure there. They're just coming off of Richmond, 3 completely different tracks in 3 weeks. Looks like we're going to be under caution for a while. I doubt we will see any cars into the pits at the end of this lap because they'd only had 1 lap on their tyres. So I think this might actually be a good time for an early break. Hopefully they'll be back to green flag racing and plenty of it when we return here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello and welcome back to Pocono Raceway, where the lights have gone off on the Ford Mustang pace car and Josh Jones is leading them around on the final lap of our first caution of the race, which came out at the end of the first lap for a single car spin. There you see a rundown of the top 10 drivers right now. Hopefully your favourite driver is up there. If not, they have plenty of time to get up there. Josh Jones he's on the outside looking in as far as 10 drivers for the chase are concerned. That being said, it's early on in the season. He currently sits 12th in the points. The driver lined up alongside him for the restart, Brody Hayes, who has won the last 2 races, sits 2nd in the points. Sin's looking really good for that number 37 machine now.
Yeah, Josh Jones is, like you said before, is looking outside the top 10. He's going to have to get a W today. He's been fast every week, just haven't been able to lock up that win yet. So maybe today's the day. So far, looking strong. I know it's lap 5, but here we go. Going green here, Sam.
Yeah, and all the drivers will hit the loud pedal at about exactly the same time, because as soon as the Ford Mustang pace car goes off, a green flag goes out. That's just a unique feature here at Pocono on iRacing. And the green flag is back in the air, and they're going 3 wide as they go across the start-finish stripe.
Oh, yeah. You'll see guys that may try something crazy. They'll go 4 or 5 wide, but as they enter turn 1 right now, be careful. Don't drift up the racetrack. I know it's a tight corner, a lot of degrees of banking in that corner. Oh, almost contact for the 3rd position there. And we got 1 car in the grass.
Able to save it. Nice save. That's Josh Tanner in the number 84 Baker Racing machine. He's going to drop back outside the top 20, but able to keep the car in one piece.
Man, oh man, some driving by Josh Tanner. A good way to stay on towards the inside. Oh, another car's in the grass coming off turn number 2.
Is that the number 6? The number 5. Wow, and we've got to consider these drivers haven't had a full lap of green yet, so the tyres are still cold. They're fixed setup, so these drivers are really still on the ragged edge considering the track temperature is 110 degrees.
Yeah, they are, but I don't know if I have my settings all the way turned up for within the iRacing sim, but I'm not seeing a lot of rubber placed on the racetrack either, so that could play a key factor itself. But yeah, 110 degrees. When you get off these corners, man, it's a slick racetrack. It's hot. The sun's beating down on it, and the cars just get really loose. So you really have to nurse your way off the corner.
Danny Rogers in the number 4 machine just got a little bit of a hip check there coming out of the first corner. He was battling Brian Jazik for position. Jazik drifted up a little bit and Rogers kind of had to get out of the gas to avoid a collision. That cost him the 5th position there to Jeffrey Belt, who's having a pretty solid start to this race. And Jeffrey Belt currently sits 15th in points, so this is a good race for him right now, riding up there in the top 5. Still early though.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely still early race. We're only lap 8 out of 50 laps. So, I mean, Jeffrey Belt sitting outside the top 10, and right now he's running in the 5th position. So far, he's got a good top 5 car, hanging up there with the big boys, as they like to say.
Absolutely, but he might fall back outside the top 5. See him drifting up a bit there. Josh Tanner, remember this was a driver that was running up towards the front at the last restart, but fell back outside the top 20. He's already rallied his way back up into 18th position in less than a lap. Actually, he just took 17.
Yeah, but what a way! What's some good timing on that happening? I mean, think about it. It's early in a race, you know, and you make a mistake coming off of the corner, and then you just blend back in with the pack. No harm, no foul. You got some time to get back in front. So right now, he may have to use some pit strategy to get towards the front.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers at the back of the field here are going to have to think about pit strategy today, Tanner. The problem is, with the track temperature being so high and this track almost driving like a bit of a road course, you're probably going to want 4 tyres no matter what if a run goes on for too long.
Yeah, from my experience at racing at Pocono on the iRacing sim, the tires wear even after a lap. The tires, you'll notice the wear in the tires. So these guys are going to have to play it conservative here. It's a 60% fuel load, so fuel might be an issue. I'm not entirely sure on that, but tires I think are going to be more important than fuel.
Yeah, we've seen from past NASCAR experiences that fuel, it can be an issue at tracks, big tracks such as Pocono and Michigan, even when they have 100% fuel load. These cars are limited to 60% of their fuel cell capacity to create strategy in the HPP simulation series here. And as they come around to complete lap 9, Things still looking rather sane at front, but as you can see, there's all a bit of a mix here in the middle of the field. Let's give this driver a shout out. We don't talk about him as much as we should. Will Warsler, currently running 7th position in the race. He is currently the driver in the above ball position in the chase, sitting there 10th in the points. He has been in all 4 races this season and taken 2 top 5s, but these other 2 finishes have been outside of the top 10.
Yeah, definitely. Will Warsler, he was the fastest car in practice. And he qualified in the 7th position. He's currently still in the 7th position, but right now it's steady. Nobody's really gaining anything or losing time, really, but it's early in the run yet. We'll see how these guys, if this race stays green, actually, the tires, we'll see who's going to have a good long run setup and a short run setup. So right now, Josh Jones, he's pulled up to about a 1.6 lead over Nicholas Cohan.
Well, one driver who's going to be hoping he has a good long run setup is our championship leader, Bryce Whitson. He didn't qualify too hot, and we just saw him lose 14th position there. He's now fallen to 15th behind Josh Tanner, who's rallying back through the field. Bryce currently leads the points, not having too hot of a start here to Pocono, but who knows, maybe he could use strategy or conserve his tyres and work his way up to the front by the end of this thing.
Another driver I want to give a shout out to is Travis Brown, sitting in the 13th position. He qualified all the way back in the 26th position, so he's made up over 10 spots. His practice time was 26th. So I'm seeing some guys from the deep back of the pack are now moving forward.
Yeah, things got a little bit close there between Travis Brown and Bryce Whitson over in the tunnel turn, but fortunately they didn't make contact, and as you mentioned, that's a nice run there by Travis. Considering all of those positions he's had to make up on the track. Nick Cohan currently continues to run in 3rd place, so that's where he's been from the start of the race, although he started in 4th but quickly moved up to 3rd. Brody Hayes remains in 2nd, Josh Jones remains in 1st, those 2 have been there since the drop of the green.
Yeah, Hayes and Cohan, they flip-flop positions. So Hayes took away 2nd place from Nicholas Cohan as he is starting to pull away, as Brian Yazik is looking to take away the 3rd position. Nothing yet, not close to that back bumper to make a run, but these guys are really taking it easy coming off the corners. That's what I've been watching from the front of the pack to the middle of the pack. These guys are just really taking it easy as they get off the corner.
I'm a little concerned by the gap that Josh Jones has put on the rest of the field here early. Remember, these drivers all have fixed setups, but Josh Jones has just completely checked out on the rest of the field. You've got to begin worrying if he might be burning off his tyres a little bit. That could be a concern if we have a long green flag run. But you also see the drivers from 2nd to 7th are all in a pack on their own, and then you have a big drop off back to the drivers in 8th on back.
It could be, but the biggest difference out of those 7 drivers and the race leader is clean air. Josh Jones is out there by himself. He's got a 1.8 second lead, and there's nobody in front of him. So, and he's not being pressured either, like Brody Hayes is being pressured by Nicholas Cohan, Brian Yazik, Danny Rogers, and etc. in that long group of pack there. So, he's not being pressured. Clean air, it can pull you away from the pack.
This is a great thing about Pocono, different lines. You see Brian's trying to use a different line to get a run on the cars in front of him coming out of turn 3, but I think it backfired on him a little bit and he might actually lose that 4th position to Danny Rogers, the number 4 machine. Oh, I'm sorry, Rogers just lost a position there. Robert Barney moves back up into the top 5.
Yeah, these guys are... Brody Hayes is actually starting to pull away a little bit. He hasn't gained on the leader at all. He's maintaining. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that as this green flag run continues. But right now they're all single file, and it's easy to catch a draft here. These are the longest straightaways in NASCAR. So especially that front straightaway. So if you're behind somebody, it's a long enough straightaway for you to catch a draft and slingshot on by.
Now, here's a credibility to the competitiveness this season. Jeffrey Gilliam, who's a driver that we've seen racing against these drivers before, is sometimes up there flirting with the top 10, top 15. He's battling all the way back in around 25th, 26th on the track right now. So not the race he would like to be expecting, I'm sure. I'm not sure if Pocono's not his track. Meanwhile, one car actually diving into the pits behind him there.
No, definitely. As I'm looking outside the top 20 here, you got Chris Chin. He's 21st position right now. Qualify. He didn't even qualify, so it gridded him 33rd position. Alex Bates did not qualify. He qualified 36th. Currently in a 22nd position. Ty Hester, I mentioned earlier before. Oh, we have a car spin coming off turn number 1.
Yeah, saw that at the back of the picture there. It looks like he went off into the green stuff. If he can keep it down there, and it's Jeffrey Gilliam, a driver we were just talking about, the caution will not fly, but that's very unfortunate for the driver.
Yes, it is, and the caution won't fly because he didn't make a 90-degree spin on the racetrack. He did the 90-degree spin off the racetrack. So iRacing will not call that as caution. So it's very unfortunate for Jeffrey Gilliam, but right now he's looking for a caution so he can catch up to the pack and get 4 fresh tires.
And some repairs. There are no free repairs in this series, and you can see he definitely got on the inside wall in his number 61 machine there. The problem is with this green flag stint going, he's not really going to have a heck of a lot of opportunities to make all of that up. You can see that other than drivers getting loose off the turns, there really hasn't been a whole lot of contact or bumping fenders out there.
No, there hasn't, but the way I'm seeing it is the longer these green flag runs continue, the more these guys are getting loose off the corner because the tires are losing grip. So you're going to be sliding around on 110-degree track temperature. And we have some first pit stops beginning right here. There's Sam Gary Whitson down pit road.
I'm wondering if these are drivers who are short pitting, which is something you can do at Pocono, because if the caution flag flies and you're close enough to the leader, you are not going to lose lap because of how big this circuit is. And that means that if the caution did fly in 2 laps' time, all of a sudden all the leaders would come down pit road, but you get to stay out and you get that track position. Granted, you would be on tyres that are a couple of laps older.
That's true, and you can gain an advantage on the field by early pitting. But the downside to early pitting is, what if you get into a fuel mileage race? You're not going to have enough fuel to make it to the end compared to your other competitors. So Gary's kind of hoping that this does stay green so he can gain the positions that he wants. But he's hoping that this doesn't turn into a fuel mileage race.
Well, we'll wait and see if Gary has enough fuel to get to the end of this then. Honestly, I'm wondering if this could be a 2-stop race, if he might still plan on making another pit stop. You see another car pulling down pit road at the back of the screen there, as nothing really has changed up front here, although, okay, we've had a couple of leaders pit, which has promoted Robert Barney up into 4th place. The top 3 remain the same.
Yeah, Brian Yazik is down pit road. He's going to take 4 fresh Goodyears, I would assume so. But early pitting, actually a little later than what Gary Whitson did. But yet again, I guess we are in our fuel window here, Sam.
It would appear so. Otherwise, all these drivers are making a major strategy blunder, but I don't think that is the case. These drivers have been doing plenty of practice, and there you see Brian Yazik merging back out onto the racetrack, and the battle for position here as they go down into the 3rd turn. This looks like Austin Missler versus Travis Brown. Although granted, maybe Missler's going downstairs so that he can come down pit road, and that's indeed what's happening.
Yeah, race leader Josh Jones is now down pit road. I believe the pit road speed's 55 miles an hour, I believe. I'm not entirely sure on the pit speed, but as he gets into his pit box safely, the number 1 pit stall, that's the beneficiary of having the pole. 4 fresh tires, I believe, is going to go on the number 40 of Josh Jones and some fuel, and he's going to be out on his way.
Now you see he is taking 4 fresh tires, as you mentioned, so that is really bad news for the rest of the field, that, this is as far as they can go on fuel, it seems, because, or if it is as far as they can go, oh, 1 car hard into the wall there. What's that? Josh Tanner, who had trouble earlier in the number 64 machine, and you can see the right side of his car is banned up. He's going to be wanting to come down pit road. I think he's on the high side right now. He might be staying out.
And go to replay here to see what exactly happened.
Yeah, a bit of connection lag there. Here it was coming out of the tunnel turn. He just overshot it and got in the wall exit in turn 2.
Yeah, with all that being said, if I was Josh Tanner's shoes, I would definitely pit ASAP because I don't know that damage aerodynamics means a lot on especially on the straightaways here. So you don't want to lose your air on a track like this. So right now, if I was him, I'd pit ASAP and get back on. That way, when you pit here at Pocono, you can go down pit road and stop in your pit box, and you can see how much damage you have based on how many seconds. So with that being said, I go down pit road, understand how many seconds you have of damage, and then just take 4 fresh tires and go out on the track. And then next time, like if you get a caution, you can spend that extra time on pit road.
Now you can see Tanner stays out again, so I'm guessing he thinks the handling of his machine is okay, although we continue to see leaders come into the pits. But back to the point about Josh Jones, he had a fair number of laps on these tyres, yet he wasn't dropping off a pace. He still had that 2-second lead when he entered the pits.
He was, now is maintaining, which is kind of pretty much a good thing, because you don't want the guy catching you, because you'll understand what that guy has. Right now, Josh Jones understands what other guys behind him had. They maintained speed. Nobody was gaining an advantage. Nobody was losing an advantage. So since he's out there right now, turning some laps, he should get the lead back, I believe. Once green flag pit stops is all said and done.
Yeah, definitely looking at the pace, he's just blasting by these drivers. I'd say he would be able to keep the lead in that number 40 Chevy Camaro. He moves up into 8th position there. Next target will be Michael Koenig. Drivers on that older tyre. Ooh, it looks like he overshot the exit of 2 there though a little bit, but that could be a trick of a camera.
Gary Whitson pretty much gained some spots now. I could be mistaken, but by the time these green flag pit stops end, Gary Whitson should be sitting in 3rd place.
It's beginning to look like these drivers are planning on making it on one stop, because there are drivers who have not came into the pits yet, and we're almost at the halfway point of a race, and we've only had 1 caution in which they could save fuel under. But as you mentioned, Gary Whitson was one of, if not the first leader down pit road, and that has been able to help him move up the field. That being said though, drivers behind him will be on slightly fresher tyres.
Yeah, Josh Tanner is going in right now along with the number 24 of Alan Young. Oh, don't speed. Oh, they make contact at the entrance of pit road.
And I think Josh got the worst of that. He was the one who initiated the contact by losing it under his rear brake and then getting into the side of a car that came down pit road alongside him. The other car was able to drive away, and as long as the toe isn't knocked out, definitely won't lose as much time as Josh.
On that, but very unfortunate for the both drivers entering pit road, especially Josh Tanner. He tried getting it woe down so he wouldn't speed on pit road, got on the brakes a little too hard and locked him. Yeah, definitely. That might affect his aerodynamics, because it sure wasn't earlier. So I was definitely ripping and accidentally clipped Alan Young there.
Unfortunately, something very easy to do. Yes, they only have to get woed down to about 55 miles an hour to make it down pit road, but they're coming off of a turn carrying... Oh, we got a caution on the speedway. Carrying a lot of speed.
I am trying to find out what the caution is for on the speedway here.
This is our second caution of the race. The first one came on the first lap when the number 45 machine had the spin. We're hearing reports that there may be additional damage on Josh Tanner's car. He would have been merging out of pit exit at the time the caution came out.
Yes, I wouldn't be Josh Tanner. I am still trying to find out what the caution is for. That's the crazy thing about Pocono Raceway is it's such a big racetrack. You're trying to find out, and everybody's scattered everywhere. You're trying to find out, what happened on the racetrack here.
Being told that Norman Pelletier and Mark Meyer... Oh, there you see Norman Pelletier's car in his pit stall. These cars don't look too majorly damaged, but they are all down pit road. I don't think that's for scheduled stops, because I think pit road is closed right now. And that's something we're going to want to keep an eye on. Who's going to come in the pits? Obviously, all these drivers who haven't pit yet, like Chris Ginn, are going to come into the pits. But do the drivers who have pit come into the pits as well? And if so, how many tyres do they take? I think Gary Whitson, at the very least, is going to have to come in, considering he pitted about 10 laps ago.
Yeah, this is a very tough call, especially if you're just pitted. But it looks like everybody's coming down for 4 tires. So if you're Gary Whitson, that benefits you a little bit there. It gives you a little relief because you weren't sure, obviously, who's going to pit and who's not going to pit.
Well, it looks like most of the drivers are pitting. Chris Ginn, who led them down pit road, overshot his pit stall, which was very unfortunate because Chris Ginn is in position to win. Was in position to win the race of drivers who took 4 tyres on pit road. We're obviously going to have drivers who will take 2 tyres, I'm sure, although none of them seem to be in a hurry to get out. Now they're finally coming off of pit road.
Yeah, everybody, nice clean exit off pit road. Pit road's really wide, so there isn't really a reason to bump into each other. But everybody's getting all single file, catching up towards the pace car. Josh Jones in front of Brian Yazik, but they will not be the race leaders. I believe a couple cars ahead took 2 tires, but I believe I don't know if they're all lining up behind a pace car, if they're lap down cars, or if there's cars that stayed out.
Well, it looks like Palmore, we're being told on the leaderboard, is the only driver ahead of Josh Jones on the racetrack that's on the lead lap. I think we might have a few cars 1 lap down, considering drivers who were at the back of the pack and then made a green flag pit stop would have fallen a lap down to the leader, Chris Ginn. You can see Chris's 4-tyre pit stop and overshooting his pit stall has dropped him far back in the order, or maybe not. We're being told 4th on one side of the screen and not on the other side. So it's all a bit of a mixture right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see how, when they come around this time by, they're coming off turn number 3 here, see who's a lap down. I believe that's a couple of first cars that are a lap down, and I believe Bryce Whitson actually stayed out.
Well, that would be an interesting call. Maybe it was one of the late pitters. We were definitely having a whole lot of drivers, and now we can get confirmation that Bryce Whitson will be the leader of the field, it looks like, when they go back to green. And that Nick Cohan will be in second. There we go, it's updated now. So, Bryce Whitson using strategy to get up front. Nick Cohan has been running up front all day. He will restart in second. Barney there, who has been running up in the top 5 all day, will restart third. And Chris Ginn, who took 4 tyres. Well, I think he must have taken 4 tyres because he hadn't pit at all during the race. And he overshot his pit stall, so not a bad job to get off pit road in 4th place there. Josh Jones, who dominated the early half of the race, came off pit road in 5th. And then Brian Yazik there in 6th place. Palmore, the driver I was mistakenly calling the lead, is actually down in 7th. And Will Worsler there in 8th. Brody Hayes, who has won the last 2 races, will restart in 9th, followed by Michael Kunik, rounding up the top 10.
Yeah, I believe Bryce Whitson, he's the one that stayed out. Nicholas Cohan, Robert Barney, and Chris Ginn. I believe those guys took 2 tires. Josh Jones is the one I know for sure took 4 tires, and he was beat off pit road by the guys ahead. So from 2nd to 4th is 2 tires, and 0 tires is Bryce, which Bryce was actually hanging outside the top 10. So he may have definitely pitted. I believe everybody's pitted already during them green flag runs. So right now, fuel is not like a saving conservation mode. So we'll have to see how this plays out coming up on the green flag run.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuel conservation does not seem to be an issue, as it looks like some of the drivers were going to make it to the halfway point without stopping anyway. That being said, I'm also sure that this isn't the last caution flag we're going to have of the race, because as the laps wind down, the action will pick up. Let's see if lights go off on the Ford Mustang pace car here. Yes, they do. So a few drivers taking the wave around. One of our drivers will be awarded the DSD Lucky Dog, and hopefully we will have a lot more. In fact, pretty much every driver who hasn't been involved in an incident today should be on the lead lap by the time we get restarted here.
Yeah, and think about it this way. This is a 50-lap race. We're a little over 20 laps to go, about 23 laps when they come to get the green flag. So if this stays green, we may see more pit stops, because that green flag run that we had seen about 18 laps on tires, or on fuel, I should say. So we might see a fuel mileage race here, Sam.
Yeah, but there were some drivers who had them pit. I think are going to be okay, but like I say, that being said, tyres, you mentioned, could definitely play into strategy if a caution comes out about 10 laps from now. Who will come in and take them, who won't? We saw a couple of drivers, I think it was Brian Yazik, who actually lost the race at Richmond last week because he ended up taking tyres when most of the field stayed out.
Yeah, and back on that fuel part, I think we may have to make one more pit stop. That's just my opinion on the factor of green flag pit stops, but that's only if we stay green. So if we stay green, these guys may have to make another pit stop. So because these long straightaways, you're on the gas. It's really hard to save gas during a green flag run. So the more you're on the gas, the more you're using up that fuel.
Well, the field is coming off of turn 3 here, and they will get the green flag. A driver who will get the green flag ahead of the rest of the field will be Bryce Whitson. Lined up alongside on the outside of him will be Nick Cohan. Once again, a reminder that as soon as the Mustang pace car peels off, the green flag will be in the air and we will be racing, and that's what's happening right now. Bryce Whitson leads the field back to green, 23 laps left to go.
23 laps to go. We are almost seeing 3 wide entering the corner. I believe we do have a battle for the lead. That is Nick Cohan, I believe.
Yes, it is. Nick Cohan taking advantage of those tyres that you said he got to move up into first place, but Robert Barney is also going to try and move up into second. Is he going to try and go for more into the tunnel turn? It would be a bit late to make a move now. He's just going to settle into this battle for second here for now.
Ooh, almost contact entering the tunnel turn, and the tunnel turn is usually the money corner on making passes. You can make passes real easily in that corner, but it's really hard to make passes in the other corners too.
And Bryce Whitson did not get off the tunnel turn very well, and he is dropping back. Now he's going to have cars who have 4 tyres coming up on him as a couple of cars get close to the wall. Exiting turn 4 there. You can see just how much they have to use all the racetrack to remain competitive in this series. And Bryce Whitson now trying to hang on to a top 5 spot. Ryan Yazik was looking down to the inside in that number 9 machine, but thought better of it. He runs alongside Chris Ginn in the number 10.
Boy, coming off turn 4 and almost hitting the wall. Oh man, these guys are really battling back and forth on these fresh tires, really trying to take advantage of the early runs. But yeah, these guys, when they get close to that wall, it strings them out just a little bit. It's the number 37? No, not the 37. That was the number 10 of Chris Ginn, excuse me.
Yeah, Chris Ginn, who I don't believe had pit by the time our second caution flew. We've only had 2 cautions this race, but I think a third one might be coming up very soon.
Oh, we got a wreck!
There it is!
Ty Hester!
Is he upside down this time?
Oh, he is not upside down, but he great save by Ty Hester. Great job of not getting in front of everybody on the racetrack, though. But he made contact back there, and they were both sliding as they were making contact off turn 4. I'm sure we'll go to replay here.
Yeah, here we go. Ty Hester battling the green number 85 machine. I believe that's Aaron Kleinhans, and I think Aaron may have actually came down on him there.
Yeah, that looks like a car on the outside just got loose and tried to save it, but it collected Ty in the process. But Ty doesn't look like he has major damage on the car, so he could probably take advantage of this right now, take 4 fresh tires, and try to get back on the racetrack and get the best finishes possible.
So, Nick Cohan, the local driver, took the lead on that restart from Bryce Whitson, who fell back a few positions. It's going to be interesting to see if Bryce tries to come in for tyres here to help him out. I don't think so, because A, I don't think any of the drivers who took 4 tyres under our last caution are going to pit. And B, I think the worst is over for Bryce. He only lost 3 positions in a time when a lot of cars behind him had 4 fresh Goodyears. And that being said, those drivers who had 4 fresh Goodyears, well, guess what? Those aren't those aren't fresh anymore. So he should be able to race more competitively at the next restart.
Well, if anybody remembers at Phoenix, he was on 2 tires to where everybody was on 4 fresh tires, and he was battling Josh Jones in them cats right there. So Bryce Whitson, even if he's got a damaged and beat up car with 2 tires, he can make it work. So I'm not too worried about Bryce Whitson at the moment.
Well, we will find out momentarily if any of our leaders do come into the pits under this, the 3rd caution of the day. They're going through the tunnel turn right now. You can see Josh Jones has navigated his way back up into 3rd position. He was dominating the first half of this race. Still time for him to get back up to the front. But the 2 drivers in front of him have also been running up in the top 5. Robert Barney in 2nd, and our race leader currently of Nick Cohan. Here comes a Ford Mustang pace car out of turn 3. We'll wait and see if anyone makes a hard left turn down into pit road. I don't think.
Oh yeah, everybody. Maybe Josh Jones will stay out. Oh! 2 cars, number 16 Robert Barney and Josh Jones will stay out.
Yeah, a few others behind them. There was definitely some last-minute decisions being made there.
Oh yeah, Josh Jones was like, oh man, everybody's going to pit. I better pit too. But he seen one car that just decided to fake it, so he's like, all right, I'm staying out too. But wow, a lot of cars are staying out here.
And a lot of cars already going off of pit road. I think we're seeing a lot of 2-tire calls here.
Yeah, it's definitely a 2-tire strategy from a lot of these guys, actually. So, but I've also noticed as this race has been going on, it's really hard to pass even though you're on fresh tires. So no wonder these guys are battling it out so hard earlier in the run. So, because it's so hard to pass here, we're gonna have to ask about how the passing was during our driver interviews later on. But yeah, from what I'm seeing, it's really hard to pass.
Well, it looks like Robert Barney and Josh Jones will lead the field back to green. We'll get to see it momentarily here on GSRC. However, the pace car lights are still on, so I wonder if Robert Barney's saving fuel there going down onto the apron. But we will be back for the restart here on the Global Sim Racing channel momentarily. Hello and welcome back to Pocono Raceway, where there will be 16 laps to go when we get the green flag here after our third caution of the day. Robert Barney is going to lead Josh Jones back to the restart, and you can see the Ford Mustang pace car lights are off. Chris Ginn and Travis Brown are on the second row, and then Travis McQuistion and Aaron Cleanhans there are on the third row. They're coming out of a tunnel turn right now, and Tanner Sharp, take it away.
All right, Sam, we are coming off turn number 3 here as the pace car will make a hard left turn down pit road. We are coming green. Robert Barney is going to read to the race fuel. Let's see who he catches sleeping on this restart. Going green. Green flag is out, and nobody catches Josh Jones sleeping as Robert Barney's heading down the long straightaway where you can land an airplane right on top of it. Chris Ginn in number 10 is going to battle side by side with Josh Jones. Maybe he'll meet him at the entrance to the corner. Oh, big accident on the front stretch. This will bring all the caution, I believe.
Todd Kirkwood has spun around. Yeah, there was smoke pouring out of the front of that number 47 machine, but we stay green.
4 wide at the back of the pack. Holy cow.
There's plenty of room for that around Pocono here, though.
Yes, sir, Sam, as we have a battle down, as we are on the replay. Yeah, hard hit to the inside wall. And, oh, more incident on the racetrack. Big crash coming off the tunnel turn. More of a big one.
Yeah, upside down goes the number 4 machine, but as you mentioned, about 10, 15 cars involved in this one. Coming out of a second corner, Ty Hester, smoke pouring out the back of his machine. Austin Misler's damage. Troy Haight, Daniel Glover, Jeffrey Gilliam, Michael Kunick, Ken Rodriguez, Lee Staples, Alan Young, Gary Whitson, and more.
According to what I'm seeing right here, Gary Whitson got down to the inside on number 34 and closed the door on Gary Whitson, and everybody started checking up, including Michael Kroback, which causes him to spin, and it just creates a big melee. 34 comes back up the racetrack and hits the 13 car of Gary Whitson and creates a big melee coming off the tunnel corner there as the big one happens here at Pocono.
Something you gotta consider when you make a strategy call of if you want to be at the front of a field or at the back is that if you're at the back of a field and an incident breaks out, you're usually close to where it's you're usually in the middle of a storm, let's put it that way. Drivers who were not in the middle of that storm because they were at the front were Robert Barney and Josh Jones, and the caution flew at the perfect time for Josh Jones because they were actually running side by side, battling for the lead, and Jones was the one who came out on top. Now, I would like to correct something that Tanner noted to me during the break, in that these drivers who were making it to the halfway point on fuel were not actually making it there all the way on fuel because they had pitted under the first caution that we had between laps 1 and 5. That's why you saw a couple of drivers taken to the apron to try and save fuel under the last caution. We might get a couple of leaders into the pits. No, it doesn't look like it. But they should be a bit better on fuel now, Tanner, because we have had 3 cautions in the second half of this race.
Yeah, and the majority of this racetrack is a straightaway, so you're not on banking to where, you know, you're not in the banking. So when you're on a straightaway and a flat surface, you're able to save a lot of fuel, especially if you're able to shut off the engine, just save some gas, hold down the clutch, release the clutch, and turn on the engine right back on.
Well, we called out the drivers who were involved in that caution. Let's talk about some of the drivers who have had trouble earlier today. Todd Kirkwood is a lap down. Recall that he was involved in an incident actually under the last green flag run. That meant he had to be towed to the pits. Somehow that didn't bring out a caution. Josh Tanner, I believe he has retired from the race. He was having issues around the round of pit stops. Other drivers who are multiple laps down, and my guess is that they were probably involved in the second caution that the camera didn't pick up, are Norm Pelletier, Jamie Moore, Edward Bray, Mark Myers, and Ted Emenheiser.
Yeah, very unfortunate for those guys, especially Josh Tanner. He was having a pretty solid day till all that happened to him, but yeah, well, better luck next week. Just very unfortunate for the guys.
Now, something these drivers are going to have to start thinking about here, Tanner, and this may have played to the reason that we didn't see any of them in the pits, is when we do go back to racing here, there will be about 11 or 12 laps to go. iRacing doesn't do green, white, checkered, so if a caution comes out with 4 or 5 to go, that could end it. That being said, we could have a caution as early as the first lap on each restart, 2 caution flags, and this then be over, so you really can't afford to give up a track position this late on in the going.
No, you can't. You've made your bed right now. So with 12 coming down on 12 laps to go, Josh Jones, Robert Barney, Chris Ginn, Travis Brown, especially Travis Brown, and Chris Ginn, Aaron Kleinhans, Travis McQuinston, Jeffrey Belt, they've all made their bed. You gotta try to stay in that top spot as long as you can and hope the cautions fall, because the cautions do take a long time around this racetrack.
Yeah, and this one does seem to be taking a while because the pace car lights are still on. You see the number 4 machine coming out of pit road there, who just lost a lap. That was Danny Rogers running up near the top 5 earlier, but went upside down to bring out our last caution. Hey, it wasn't Ty Hester this time. We were joking ahead of a race with him that he's been upside down in the last 2 races. Hopefully he doesn't go for the hat trick tonight. So, Josh Jones should lead us back to the restart when we do get going again at Pocono Raceway. We're going to take another quick break while the Ford Mustang paces are filled around, and we will be back for the green flag.
And 4. Welcome back here at the Pocono Raceway as we are about to go green flag racing in the final 8 laps coming down to the green here. As we are now down to turn number 3, the Milwaukee Mile corner. Josh Jones, Robert Barney, Chris Ginn, Travis Brown, Aaron Kleinhans, the top 5. Travis McQuinston, Jeffrey Bell, Nicholas Cohan, Jack Strosky, and Brian Yazik, the top 10, as we are coming to take the green flag. Pace car will make a hard left turn. Will Josh Jones catch anybody sleeping? Maybe a little bit. Oh, actually not. Robert Barney's still on point. He's going to hop down below to get Josh Jones' draft here to pull him upside. Josh Jones has a nice lead right there. 3 wide from the mid back out in the top 10 area. Going to be 4 wide entering that corner. As you can see, Josh Jones right now, he's trying to maintain his lead because he wants these cautions to fall so he can have the lead for the end of the race, because iRacing does not do green-white checkers. Everybody's side by side down the backstretch except the first 5-ish cars, 6-ish cars. Brian Yacek under attack right now, about to lose the top 10 here, or another position here. The tunnel turn is the money corner of the racetrack. Josh Jones right now currently leading with coming down about 10 laps to go. Excuse me on the laps. Getting a little excited here. Josh Jones is right in the middle groove. As you can see, Robert Barney using the bottom. There is a battle for about 4th place right now. That's between Christopher Quinn and Travis Brown. Nicholas Cohan and Travis McQuinn's getting trade spots last time by. Brian Yacek, who was my pick to win this race, is still trying to hang on for a top 10 finish. He qualified in the 8th position, currently 7th last time by. Nothing to really report in the back of the pack here. Everybody's really taking it easy. They don't want a big one. Oh, Michael Krobach spins coming off turn number 2. This will not bring out a caution. Michael Krobach in the infield. The car on the outside of him, trying to make out who that was, tapped the wall, and it ricocheted into Michael Krobach. So very unfortunate for Michael Krobach. Hopefully we can get a replay on it to see what exactly happened. Yeah, as you can see, that was a hard hit into the inside wall from Michael Krobach. That might affect his aerodynamics. Just very unfortunate. Oh, we do have a yellow flag on the racing course. It might be the number 88 of Jack Strosky I'm getting a report on. As we are on the replay right here, Jack Strosky in the number 88 for Strosky Motorsports. He might have had a little help there coming off the corner there. That is another treacherous corner, because that is the Milwaukee Mile corner. Does not really hit the inside of anything, so minor damage to that number 88 car. We'll get you a better angle here on the replay here to see what exactly happened. And yeah, he had a little help, but that could have had some looseness effect too as well. For Jack Strosky. Very unfortunate for the number 88 machine there with some minor damage. So hopefully you can go and get some 4 fresh tires and get the best finish as possible. So with everybody trying to catch up to the racing field, trying to catch up to the pace car, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be back to you to give you the final finale of this race. And we are back live here at the Pocono Raceway, coming down to the final laps of this race, as this is a 50-lap run. Let's review the rundown here of Josh Jones, who is trying to maintain his lead and hoping for more of these cautions, because if we do get another caution, that means this race is over. You can mark my words on that. So Josh Jones, Robert Barney, Nicholas Cohan, Travis Brown, and Chris Ginn is the top 5. Brian Yazik, who's making his way up towards the front. Travis McWinston, Aaron Kleinhans, Brody Hayes, and Bryce Whitson Jr. rounds out the top 10. As these guys are entering the tunnel turn, coming down to take the green flag. The tunnel turn is the money corner for passing lanes, but it is also the corner where the big one happens. So everybody's just going to have to take it easy and mind your passes. How about you, Sam? Glad to have you back after having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, glad to be back. Should be an interesting restart. If it's anything like the last one, it does look like Josh could have this race in the books, but we'll wait and see. We're sure Nick Cohan, restarting in 3rd position, is going to want this victory. 4 drivers currently running in the top 10 started 25th or worse, so a lot of drivers about to have good days. But that being said, anything could unfold, although this race could be over before they even get to turn 1.
Yes, they are, as we are coming to the green flag. Pace car pulls down pit road. Josh Jones has a nice green flag start. Robert Barney kind of caught sleeping there. The number 21 of Nicholas Cohan using the draft as an advantage to try to get ahead of Robert Barney as they go down this long straightaway. Oh, almost 4 wide, 3 wide currently entering turn number 3. That is a battle for 5th place. Brian Yazik making some noise, making a run on that high side lane as he's making it stick 3 wide. No incident. Oh, wow, great pass by Brian Yazik as Josh Jones is still trying to hold the race lead.
Yeah, Yazik moving around the outside, and as you mentioned, the drivers now...
Caution!
And that will finish it.
That will. Josh Jones will win this race. It is 2 cars on the backstretch.
Louis Robinette and Michael Kunik have had a collision coming out of turn 2. They were running back in 22nd and 24th positions at the restart.
Yeah, as you can see on the replay here, they're all single file, and a little tap from behind got him a little out of. Yeah, a little tap from behind is all it did. That looked like that happened on the straight, not totally coming out of the corner. Very unfortunate between the number 34 of Michael Kunik and the number 33. Yeah, you can see entering down turn number 1. This is the Trenton part of the racetrack. He gets a nice run on the number 33 and gives him a little tap. Oh yeah, he got him loose, and he paid the price for it actually, for a little tap like that. So, and both of them take a nice good lick on the inside wall there. That's no safer barrier down there, but very unfortunate for the 2 drivers, especially Michael Kunik, and all that damage in the rear bumper.
One driver it will be fortunate for, though, is Josh Jones, who, providing his car keeps running, will be able to make it around to the start-finish line in 2 laps' time and take the checkered flag for his first victory of the season. And Nick Cohan was able to leapfrog Robert Barney on that restart, and Robert will be kicking himself for that, because you really don't have to wait on the leader for this restart. Everyone kind of just goes when the Ford Mustang pace car pulls down pit road. Barney did not get the restart that he needed. That ended up costing him that 2nd position to Cohan. Yazik was able to rally his way back up into 4th place there, which is good news for him, considering I think he actually restarted in 6th. And then Chris Ginn was able to use a bit of strategy to finish in the top 5 after not setting a lap during qualifying.
Yeah, I tip my hat to Brian Yazik for that move that he made down turn number 1. That power move he made starting on the outside lane and just gunned that gas and was able to clear both cars of Chris Ginn and Travis Brown. So that was a great move, but unfortunately the cautions played into Josh Jones's favor.
Saw a green car heading towards pit road there. It looks like Aaron Kleinhans was trying to fake a couple of cars to coming down pit road, which I'm pretty sure would be a bit of a not too intelligent move by anyone if they ran down there, considering the fact that this race will be over in a couple of laps. One driver going by and getting a DSD lucky dog, Aaron, actually, not a bad race in that number 85 machine. He's going to salvage the top 10 out of this, considering he was involved in an incident with Ty Hester early on in the race, so a nice little comeback there. Bryce Whitson will keep his top 10 streak alive in 9th place. He has finished in the top 10 every single race this season. However, Michael Krobach, who was sitting up there 3rd in the points with 3 top 5s, he will not add that to that tally today after being caught in the big one. He looks like he will finish around 27th position.
Yeah, back on Aaron Kleinhan's fake down pit road there. I don't think these guys are going to go down pit road for a 1 pace lap, for 4 fresh tires for a 1 pace lap. So that would be a first in my book, but I don't think that will ever happen. But yeah, Josh Jones will get the victory today. Cautions play into his favor like we were talking about for the last about 10-12 laps. Nicholas Cohan, too little too late, will get a nice top 2 finish. It's good for points. But Josh Jones, back to him, this is his first win of the season. So this should put him in the top 10 in points. As of right now, he is out. Before this race started, he was outside the top 10 in points. So it's a good win for Josh Jones. He qualified on pole and wins the race.
Yeah, very early in the season, and he will be given the white flag here. Let's not forget the way Josh Jones got the lead. He was battling side by side with Robert Barney, I believe it was, and the caution flew out for the big one coming out of a tunnel turn on lap number 35. He had his nose out in front, so he got the lead back for the next restart. Unfortunately, a couple of quick cautions didn't give us a whole lot of racing in the closing laps, but that did mean that it took away any opportunities for anyone to get by Jones, and he'll take a W. But that being said, considering the way he dominated the first half of this race, I don't think it would be right to really see anyone other than the driver of that number 40 machine in victory lane today.
Yeah, unless they decide to go to victory lane and say congratulations, which is usually a respectful thing to do in the NASCAR world. But another drivers I got to give a shout out to. These are 3 drivers that finished in the top. Actually, 4 drivers that finished in the top 10 that started outside the top 20. That's Chris Ginn, who finishes 5th. Travis Brown finishes 6th. Travis McQuinston started 25th, finishes 8th. And Aaron Kleinhans, Ray Bounds, after getting into an incident with Ty Hester, he qualified 31st, and he gets a nice top 10 finish today.
Not too far behind them, another driver who didn't qualify too hot but was able to use strategy to get a good finish today was Daniel Vinen. Don't usually get to give him a whole lot of shout outs, but it looks like he's going to walk away with a 13th place finish just outside the top 10 here. So nice job for the driver of that number 99 machine.
Yeah, definitely. And it looked like to me this place is so hard to pass. So, I mean, 13th place, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. It's a good points day, but hopefully you can finish in the top 10 in the upcoming weeks.
Yep, here comes the field. Out of a final turn, Josh Jones about to get his first win of the season here, Tanner.
Yeah, Josh Jones will go through the start-finish line to take the checkered flag. Nicholas Cohan, Robert Barney, Brian Yazik, and Chris Ginn is the top 5 finishing order. Travis Brown, Brody Hayes, Travis McQuinston, Bryce Whitson Jr., and Aaron Kleinhans will round out your top 10 of today's race.
We will be back for a full race rundown and driver interviews in just a moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to Pocono Raceway, where we just witnessed round 5 of the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Grand National Series here on the Global Sim Racing channel. And after 50 laps, your winner was Josh Jones, and let's hand it over to Tanner to run us down the top 10.
Yes, sir. As we are going to run through the top 10 finishing order, Josh Jones, your race winner in the number 40 machine. Nicholas Cohan will finish in the second position. Robert Barney will finish in third. Brian Yazek, great power move in the final events of that race, will finish fourth place. Chris Jin, great run, qualified 33rd, and will finish in the top 5. I believe he'll get the Hard Charger Award. Travis Brown finishes in the 6th position. Brody Hayes in the 7th position. Travis McQuinston finishes in the 8th position. Bryce Whitson will finish in 9th tonight. And Aaron Kleinhans rounding out the top 10.
And I'll extend my congratulations there also to Christian on winning the M-Spec Hard Charger of a Race Award there after starting from the back of the field. But rounding out the rest of the top, 13th place there, Jonathan Holstein and Jeffrey Gilliam, who was involved in an early incident, rounds out the top 15. Lee Staples was behind him in 16th, followed by we have Will Warsler leading home Jeffrey Belt and Daniel Vinem, placing Alex Bates and Alan Young. Jack Strowski and Danny Rogers rounds out the top 20, all on the lead lap, even after Rogers was upside down at one point during this race.
Yes, he was. And outside the top 20, you have Danny Glover finishing the 21st position. Jackie Palmore finishes 22nd. Michael Koenig in that last lap incident, or last caution incident, finishes 23rd. Tim Knott in the number 41 car finishes 24th. And a car that are now multiple laps down is Louis Robinette, who finishes 25th. Gary Whitson finishes in the 26th, who was involved in the big one earlier in the race. Michael Krobach finishes 27th. Ken Rodriguez finishes 28th. Austin Missler finishes 29th. And Ty Hester, once again, outside the top 20, will finish 30th.
Yeah, these drivers, as you mentioned already, multiple laps down. Ty Hester was 15 down, as was Troy Haight there in 31st position, followed by Todd Kirkwood in 32nd, Josh Tanner, who had some issues during the middle of the race, 33rd, and Mark Myers, 34th. These were all drivers, I believe, involved in the second portion of the race. Norm Pelletier, Edward Gray, Jamie Moore, and Ted Emmenheiser. However, some drivers who had more fortunate days were our top 3 finishers, so let's get to talk to them now. I'll hand it back over to Tanner.
Yeah, I'm catching up with Robert Barney, who finishes in the third place today. He qualified 9th today. As Robert, you finish in the top 3 today. Congratulations on your top 3 finish. First thing I gotta ask is, up here in the booth, it looked like it was really hard to pass, and there wasn't a lot of passing attempts made unless you're on them fresh tires. Was it really hard to pass today?
Yeah, it was definitely hard to pass. It was really slick coming out of 3. On the longer runs, which I was hoping for, I was definitely fast. This Purple Dyno Racing Mustang was amazing. I was really hoping to tag it up there in the end on the closing laps, but the caution came out and kind of ended it.
Yes, definitely. Another question I do have to ask you is, in the final approximately 20 laps of that race, before we were getting all them cautions, were a bunch of guys up in the front saving fuel? Do you know? I wasn't 100% sure if you were up there saving fuel, but it was fuel a problem today?
Yeah, definitely. With the long first run that we had, I stayed out a little bit, and then that caution came out, and I was able to take 2 tires and stay up front. So it worked out for me, and the fuel was going to be good for me. I was clutching it and shutting the engine off. I was going to be good, and was hoping it was going to go green for the rest of the way, but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, it was clean racing at the first beginning part of the race, and everybody was trying to gain as many positions as they can, and the caution started flying in the second half of the race, definitely. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
No, man, I hope it was as fun to watch as it was to drive. I'm sweating right now.
Pocono is usually a challenging racetrack, especially when you have 3 different corners, very unique in every corner. And as you said, turn 3 was very treacherous, and we did mention that over the broadcast today. And plus, turn 2 was pretty much the money corner. Another question before we let you go is: was turn 2 the money corner? I thought it was the money corner to pass on, but was turn number 2 the money corner to pass on?
Yeah, definitely. And that's where I was gaining a lot of time on a lot of people. If you didn't hit the mark right on point, it slowed you down, and you weren't able to get that momentum going into 3, and definitely the longest straightaway in NASCAR there.
Yeah, definitely. I was mentioning that during the broadcast too. That turn 2 was the money corner on making passes here at this track. One more thing before we let you go. Our next race is Kentucky. It's a 1.5-mile racetrack, really bumpy. Is that a track that has treated you fair in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. All the tracks on the schedule, I think I'm a contender to win. I changed things up a little bit, decided to throw down a little qualifying lap tonight. I normally like to start in the back and let the melee get over with and work my way up to the front, but I figured that probably wouldn't be a good idea tonight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Kentucky. Car's fast, and it'll look for me up there at least in the top 5.
Yeah, Kentucky's one of my favorites also. So, all right, well, thank you, Robert, for taking the time to talk with us tonight. As that is Robert Barney, who finishes in the 3rd position tonight. Sam, I believe you are trying to catch up with Nicholas Cohan, who finished 2nd.
Yeah, Nick Cohan is the driver who brought home the 2nd position here in the number 21 machine, and I'm not entirely sure he's too thrilled with that, because I know you had this one circled on your calendar, Nick, but you just couldn't get that top spot tonight.
Yeah, it's disappointing, to be honest with you. I really thought we had a good shot at it, and good strategy there at the end to put us in position on good tires, and was looking forward to that going green the rest of the way. It would have been a fun battle with me, Josh, and Barney there, and sucks 2 second-place finishes, but we're not here to finish 2nd, so it's disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. You, as you mentioned about your strategy, you were the one driver who seemed to be consistently in the top 5 all night long. We had some drivers, who would go into a pit stop, take 4 tires, fall back to 10th, and then rally their way back up front. You never seemed to be out there worse than 4th tonight.
At one point, I think I was actually 13th on one of the restarts, but by the time I came out of turn 2, I was in 7th. So it wasn't long that I was back there, but you just got to be real aggressive on the restarts here. They're just that's the time to make up, time. You go 3 wide into turn 1, and it's hard for the cars on the outside, and it's the easiest place to and the quickest amount of cars to pass in a little area, and it works out good if you're aggressive enough. But other than that, it's just being smart out there. You just can't overdrive the car. This is a track that you overdrive it, and it's really gonna take a toll on the car, and you're gonna feel it easily.
It seemed that overdriving was a common theme tonight, especially over in turn 2, the tunnel turn, and a lot of that could be attributed to the track temperature. It looked like it was very slick out there.
It was slick, and all 3 turns are totally different. You need to have split personalities basically driving this track, because turn 1, 2, and 3 are just 2 or 3 totally different types of corners, and you need to drive all 3 totally different. That's why I like this track. It really, takes a lot of focus and a lot of, smart driving to handle this track the right way without overdriving it. And it's hard to drive. You feel like you're driving slower, but you're actually going quicker on the lap times when you just take your time around here. It's hard to put into words, but it's the easiest way to be easy on the tires here at Pocono.
Now, no consistency wasn't what you were looking for tonight. You were looking for the W, but you do have a consistent string going here of solid finishes, or at least solid performances. Do you think you can finally get the W next week in Kentucky?
We'll see. Kentucky hasn't really been too great to me. I think I have one win there and another league cup series. But other than that, that was my only good run at Kentucky. I'm not too huge on that track, but it's fun because there's multiple lines there, and you can run bottom, top, and middle of there, especially with the new updates they did with iRacing, and it always has good racing. So hopefully we don't end that one under caution, because it gets frustrating ending under caution, especially like tonight.
Yeah, we've seen a few races recently finish under caution, with drivers getting a little bit rowdy in the final closing laps. You did get a second place finish, Nick. We know it's not what you were looking for, but it's a solid finish, so we'll let you go and rest after this race, and we'll see you in 1 week's time.
Alright, thank you. Just want to give a little shout out to Swanee at Steel Horse Racing for giving us the engines, CJ Automotive, K&N, Starbucks for keeping me awake, and a little shout out to my dad for watching tonight.
Absolutely. Well, that was your second place finisher, Nick Cohan, but now I'm about to hand it over down to Victory Lane, where Tanner Sharp has caught up with the race winner, Josh Jones. Tanner?
Yeah, Victory Lane is really crowded down here as the champagne sprays over the number 40 car of Josh Jones, who wins today at the Pocono Raceway. And Josh, you're one of the cars that stayed out in the final 20 laps of the race. As Robert, I was talking with Robert earlier, fuel was a big thing. Were you trying to save as much gas as you can to make it to the end?
Yeah. Robert's got it right, and I wasn't sure. I mean, I don't think we would have made it to the end if we wouldn't have had all the cautions. So that actually ended up working out for me, and I was just holding the clutch there on those first couple of cautions just to make sure, I was going to make it to the end. But yeah, just all the cautions. I mean, it worked in my favor. It was nice to have a green flag run at the beginning of the race, but we got to get together and learn how to run the second half of these races a little smarter and give you guys a better show. But yeah, I mean, happy to finally get this win. I felt like I could have had one at Phoenix and that didn't work out for me. So yeah, just finally got it.
Yeah, the caution flags at Phoenix definitely did not play in your favor, but today the caution flags at Pocono did play in your favor, as you were the race leader. And you look like, in my opinion, you were the master on the longer green flag runs, because you did pull out to almost a 2-second lead before the green flag pit stop started. But speaking of talking about this race, the track temperature is 110 degrees. It's hot and slick out there, which the sun beats down on the racetrack. Turn 3 was the corner that you would slip and slide around. Does that go for the same thing towards 1 and 2?
Not as much. And like you said, the sun was out, it was slick, and I really like it when it's like that. I mean, and I'm sure most of the guys, that we race with do also. It really gives you a little more freedom with how you're going to drive the car. And but yeah, I mean, I like to stay up on that strip of new asphalt in 3, and I felt like that was where the most grip was. I did see Robert and some of those guys running down a little lower, and I saw it work for them once or twice, but I was pretty comfortable.
Yes, indeed. Them caution flags really playing out in your favor, and everybody choosing which lines are working. Brian Yazik was actually the guy that was making the outside lanes work down turn number 1. We've seen that towards the end of the race. That's how he got that 4th place finish. Great power move by him. But, well, Josh, before we let you go here, first thing is Kentucky, a track that you can possibly get a win number 2 at next week. And is there anything else you'd like to add after that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that myself or my teammate Will can get a win there. I've always been pretty good there, but it's been a long time since I've been on that track. So we'll put some practice in this week, and we'll see what happens. I mean, there's some really fast guys in this series, and I was worried there at the end. I thought either Nick or Robert was going to get me. I had a hard time getting going on the first lap, but but yeah, just want to thank all the guys that run this series, Bryce, Gary, and all those other guys, and want to thank my sponsor, Jeremy Thornton and 1-8 Racing, and you guys for broadcasting these races, and also HPP for being really generous and putting up a set of pedals for the champion of this season.
All right, we appreciate you talking with us here, Josh, as we will let you go back to your celebration with your team.
Thanks, guys.
That was Josh Jones, who won the race today at Pocono after starting from the pole. Back to you, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely, and Josh Jones doing everything right tonight if he wants those HPP pedals by the end of the season. But once again, we would like to send our thoughts before we wrap up this broadcast to Jordan Harnish's cousin, who was in the ICU after being involved in a car incident earlier today. We wish her the best, Jordan, and all the members of GSRC and the racing series here that we saw tonight. Wish her the best too, and we hope to see you back next week at Kentucky. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the iROC HPP Simulation Grand National Series for coming here tonight and putting on a great show. We would like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that help make this stream possible: iRacing.com, Behringer, XSplit, Audio Technica, and Ava Media. Thanks to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. We would like to send a special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's at iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. We have all of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. We'll be back in action next week at Kentucky Speedway, so until then, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.